It's all good. We're cool.
Good.
Good morning, everybody. What's going on? This is Bevo.
And I'm Robert Rostick.
And thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Raising Unmanageables. Robert Rostick, this is episode 34.
Number 34, yes. And glad to be here.
Absolutely.
But before we start.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
I'm glad we got that out the way. Because I hated stepping on your feelings last week. With the can of the dry.
All right,
You
that
good?
was silly. Yeah,
You good?
That was actually pretty good, yeah.
All right.
I'm good.
Raising Unmanageables, Robert.
Yes.
The people's resource for creative growth and business development.
You know, I got a question.
Absolutely.
What the heck is a doppelganger?
What is a doppelganger?
Yeah, what the heck is that?
It's kind of like a evil version of yourself.
Was it Key and Peele?
Key and Peele.
Key and Peele.
Yeah.
They said I look like Key and Peele.
Oh yeah, when they did like the Lil Wayne episodes.
Yeah, and so I'm supposed to look like that guy. When I looked him up on the web, he looked pretty handsome.
Yeah.
I ain't handsome.
Well,
And you know what I'm doing? I'm fishing.
you fishing? What you fishing for?
I'm fishing for compliments.
Oh, okay.
So
Well, somebody please compliment Robert Rossi. One of his friends, his sister. I saw your sister. She shared the page the other day.
Oh wow, that's
Yeah,
great. But I'm
so-
saying when you're fishing for compliments, then there's always something behind that.
Right. You looking for something.
You're looking for something.
Right.
And which brings us to our topic this week.
For the day. Robert Rossi. Hook a brother up.
When it's all about pricing.
It's all about pricing.
And the worst part about pricing is when it comes from your family and your friends.
And your friends. It makes it hard.
It makes it very hard.
Right.
So
So talk to me about it, because I've been experiencing this, and I think we all do. One of the hardest things to do in any industry is tell somebody how much it's going to cost to work with you.
well, that's an interesting subject because this is an interesting subject because of the fact that when you start working for yourself, one of the first things you have to is to come to terms with is what you're going to charge for your services.
Correct.
And that is a hard thing to do because you want to get in the industry, you want customers, you want to draw them in. So oftentimes what we do is we charge something very low.
Right.
Because we're saying, hey, come on in, see us, see what we have to do, and you're not going to lose anything. And if you like us, then hopefully you'll come back, and then eventually we'll raise our rates accordingly as time goes on, and we get more experience and more into what it is, that longevity into the services that we're providing. So we build up, and then we find that comfort level where we know that people will actually pay this price, and that's a good comfort zone for us. So I'm getting to the point where is that you work to get to that point, and then your friends and family come along.
They hit you up.
They hit you up, yeah. That's what they do. They hit you up.
And they don't just outright ask you to drop your price.
No.
But there's a lot of things that end up happening from this emotional standpoint, and you want to help them out standpoint. You know that they haven't done their research with regard to actually how much time and energy is spent into doing what you do.
And no one does.
No one does.
Actually, to be fair, no one researches. All it is that people do is they have a price in their head as to what they're willing to pay.
Right.
And then they approach you. They approach you because if they approach someone else who's legitimately, and I'm going to use that term, legitimately in the business, because you're to your family and friends, you're not legit. But to the person down the street, they're legitimate. Before they approach them, one of the things they want to do is they want to shop you out and say, okay, in my head, this is going to be $20. And they also tell you how long it's going to take.
Right.
It's only going to take you 10 minutes.
Right.
And why is it going to take you 10 minutes? Because you're a professional. Wait a minute. I'm a professional. The guy down the street is a professional, but he's better than me. And you've already determined that you were going to pay me $20 and it's only going to take me 10 minutes.
Right.
Okay. All right. Now, where do we go from here?
You just got to hit them with your pricing. So my question has been, over the last couple weeks or month or couple weeks is, do I need a friends and family rate or discount situation? And the reason I ask that question is it easier for me to charge you what I charge you, and then give you a scenario where we can break that fee down into payments that makes it easier for you to pallet? Or do I go down the road of charging you the friends and family discount, and then now a week into it, because it takes longer than a week most times to do a lot of different things from a marketing standpoint, now I'm kind of pissed off at you that I didn't charge you enough. I'm like 5 revisions into this job.
Sure.
And now I'm almost paying you to be working for it,
Absolutely.
to be doing this job. So is it worth it to me, to anybody, to have that scenario where they're backing down their fee just because it is a friend or family?
Well, I mean, the fact that you say friends and family and you have a structured fee, let's say the fee is $100. Let's be simple about this. It's $100 to Joe Blow, Jane Sue off the street.
That whole phrase sounds so weird.
I know Joe Blow and Jane Sue.
Joe Blow, Jane Sue,
Yeah.
off the street.
Off the street. There you go. You know what? I'm actually there with you. I totally understand that one.
I almost choked on my coffee. And it's got cayenne pepper in it too, so it just went straight to the back of my throat. Sorry.
So they come in off the street, and they come in from wherever they get out of their Mercedes Benz, and they only have $100.
They're exhausted.
They have $100, and they come to you, and you do the service for them. They pay you your $100, and they go on about their way. Now you have your cousin comes in and wants somewhat a similar service.
Right.
What is that discount? If you are going to discount it, how much do you discount it?
Yeah, and there's the rub all the time is how far, and I think what I've done in the past is how far for me am I willing to come down before I'm pissed off that I'm doing the job in the first place.
Correct.
Right? So that's usually how I market it. But I don't really know what that discount should be.
So let's base it on $100. I'll come over to you. I'm your close friend. You know, we hung out together. In fact, I served you collard greens and barbecue at my house the other day.
So are we saying $100 is like expensive? $100 expensive.
That's what you charge your regular clients.
Right. So in a realistic world, $100 is a decent fee for you.
Yes, a decent fee for you. Yes.
Okay. So if I have to come down off my $100 fee and not be offended by that price that I'm giving that person, I guess, I don't know, from an emotional standpoint, it feels like I got to be like at $60.
$60. That's a 40% discount.
That's a 40% discount.
Oh, I mean that's a huge difference.
I know, but that's what happens internally, mentally, and then just like, I want to help them out, and I know they don't have the money, or whatever the case may be.
And how is
right?
it you know that they don't have the money?
I don't know. That's the problem with the whole scenario. This is the whole problem is we don't know.
You know, the thing about it is that one of the things that's really cool about family and friends is that they give you that, what's that word, doppelganger?
The doppelganger.
Ganger approach.
Right.
Oh man, you know, I just paid my rent, my electric bill, you know, it's cold next week. So can you do it for $20?
Right.
That's what you get.
Okay.
Because you look just like Keenan Peele. Is it Keenan Peele?
Key
and Peele.
You're going to get it right before this 20 minutes is up.
But they hit you up with some kind of compliment.
Right.
And that's what they do. But that's not what this is about.
Right.
This is about the 40% or greater discount that's happening. So what do? Because here's the thing. The moment you accept whatever it is you accept, 40%, 20%, 10%, that price is now locked in.
Locked in.
And they will come back to you every single time
Like a stray cat that you just fed for the first time.
for that price
That is not.
or less.
Mm-hmm.
And over the course of time, you will raise your prices due to taxes, due to things going up, and your regular customers will be paying now $120, but your friend and family will still want it at $60,
Right.
no matter what happens.
No matter what the circumstance.
So, do you do the job?
These days, I skip the job, or I don't skip the job. What I try to do is, I want to make sure I'm clear on that. I don't skip the job. What I do is make sure that I'm clear on what my pricing is, and I try to educate them on what it takes to do that work. So from revisions to research to just physical drawing, sketching, and producing a job for them.
Why do you do that? Because they already know when they go to the shop gym down the street, they're not asking him what it takes in order to make him or her what it takes in order to make that job work. They walk in the door and they say, and Jim or Joe says, "Hey, it's going to be $100."
Right. But I feel as though it's my job to know, it's my job to educate you on how much this really costs. And the reason there is this such thing as sticker shock, I think a lot of the times, is because no one's actually told them, hey, this is what it takes to actually get this done. It's like when we go to the mechanic, we know we have to get our car fixed.
Sure.
We know it's expensive, and we don't really question it a lot of the times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But if we knew what goes into it, we really wouldn't. We would question it less. I think. You know what I mean?
If it's your family and your friends,
Right.
they don't care. It's like the mechanic. You say, I go to the mechanic.
I get what you're saying.
And I go down there and the mechanic says it's going to be $463 in order to fix your deal.
And you're like,
but then I need my car.
right.
But then you go over to okay, I'm going to be polite about this. You're going to go over to your cousin, Jay John. Okay, that's a good one. You go over to your cousin, Jay John.
At least you didn't say man.
And I didn't say man. Jay John. You go over to Jay John and you say, Jay John, I don't want to know how much it's going to cost. Can you do it for 130?
Right. So at that point, just to rewind, I'm not going to do that job.
And there is where I'm different.
I don't want to feel bad about it. So I've done it in the past, and there's been a lot of times where you call me and say, I need you to do this and there's no money. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do it because of the fact that there's other game.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Working. But I have no evidence of that, especially in the beginning stages of sometimes I meet people.
And
right.
that's another part of it that I hope we touch on it in this time period today.
Okay, so I see where this is going. So the turning point can be, or the deciding factor can be, if there's some kind of return on the tail end.
On the tail end. And that's important.
Okay. So
what's on the other side of that?
So break that down.
Before I do that, Mason's gonna, she's gonna hit me with a question.
No, I just kind of wanted to jump in because I know that as an artist, and especially if you're starting out and whatnot, that so many times you're told, yeah, we don't really have a budget to pay the artists to be part of this show or do this work or anything, but the exposure is going to be so great.
Yeah.
So how do you, and sometimes that is true, and there are definitely times where I will donate my work and I am relying on my ability to network and meet people who hopefully buy my work. But I feel like for artists especially, we are expected to donate our craft and time all the time and rely on exposure. And I think it's just heartbreaking when more, I don't know, or especially younger artists, where do you stop?
So is your question, from the exposure standpoint, is your question, how do you know if it's worth the exposure that you're going to be getting from it?
Yeah.
And I think what we're getting from this conversation right now is, I think if there's already proof that they've shown up for you in the beginning, right? If they're already kind of sending people your direction and they're already pointing people towards you to give you scenarios or situations where you're more exposed, or there's more eyes on you, then maybe so. But if they come out of nowhere, they got all this budget for everything else except to pay you to do the thing that they actually need to have done, then I don't think that exposure concept is valid.
And
We have another question too. Keep going. Go.
and kind of going off of that, like in college, it's all about that exposure, and you're not expected to ask people to pay you for your work because you're in college.
Right.
So at what point do you start that transition into being an adult and being like, okay, I should be paid for my work. I'm not a joke anymore. Does that happen still in college, or do you have to wait till after you graduate, or?
Oh, I love that point.
I love that too.
I love this because here's the deal. At some point, you decide that you are a professional. And we got some visitors from outside.
we got
we got an audience outside.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
A
great.
studio audience, but they're not laughing and clapping.
And but to answer that question is that at some point you have to just declare that you are a professional.
Yeah.
And until you declare that, you don't, at high school, college, it doesn't matter where you are. But at some point, you have to be comfortable enough to say, I want this for this service.
Right.
I'm no longer learning in order to give you what it is that you're asking for.
Right.
I'm beyond learning, and I can give you that without doing anything as far as I can do it in my sleep, in a sense. So in that instance, I hang my shingles out and say, hey, look, no, I want this for that service.
Right.
But where I'm going is it's back to the friends and family. In the friends and family mode, I have this idea that if it's friends and family, I am going to do it for a discount. It's automatic because they are going to present me with a scenario that I have not faced yet. Or it's going to be so simple that it's not going to take me any time in order to do it. Now, I'm going to then require that family person or friend offer me up something when I need them. So there's going to be a future call on you to do something in your realm that I can use. I often do things for people at little to nothing. If they throw $5,000 my way, just because they want to get somewhat close to my fee, I'm okay with that. But oftentimes they won't. And what I'll do is I'll say, yeah, sure, I'll do it, but I'm going to do it in my own time frame.
Right.
I am going to do it under these circumstances.
Right.
And this is the product you're going to receive at the end of this. And that's what happens. But one of the things that I always get from that is I get a new experience that I wouldn't get from my clients that come through the door.
Sure.
Because your friends and family, they're somewhat unique in a sense of what they ask you to do.
Right.
They ask you to do ridiculous things that it does take if you did it in the highest sense of quality, takes a lot of time. But that's not what you're going to do. You're going to meet their needs, and oftentimes I learn something in that process.
Yeah.
So that when the clients do walk through the door, that particular scenario has been met. So.
Yeah, I mean, and I think going back to Lumiere's point of knowing when to start charging for this, like your point of as soon as you acknowledge yourself as a professional, what professional means is you get paid to do a thing. And I think, but you don't have to, I don't think you focus so much. I think your pricing is going to fluctuate, it's going to vary, you're going to flail about in a little bit for a while because it's hard to kind of pin that down, especially in the beginning stages. However, I think as soon as you feel confident in doing it, you should start charging for it. Absolutely. Whether it, no matter what the actual fee is, because you'll start learning from those experiences how to navigate where you need to be over time.
Last point.
Yeah.
Someone commented about how he doesn't work with family and friends. He always refers them to someone he knows. What do you think about that?
So I kind of understand that, where I had a scenario where I think I passed up on a job because I was out of the price range. However, I did offer up to, if they needed help vetting someone else that can do that job, give me a call, because I at least can point you the right direction to make sure that someone who does want to do that job or who is more in your range, at least let me help take a look at them and see if they're going to provide a service for that price range that you're looking for. So I kind of understand that point too.
Sure. In my instances, most of my business comes from word of mouth. And when I do these little small jobs for family and friends, they are my biggest advocate. They are the spokesperson out there who will, in a sense, vet me out to other people. And they speak very highly of me. In fact, they speak so highly of me that it is not Robert Rostick they're talking about. They're talking about Key and Peele.
Clearly.
Okay.
And eventually, I understand it.
But here's the second part of that, where I wanted to go with
Eventually, you just got to get it out. Right?
Is that when people come at you from a professional point and they ask you for a discount.
Yeah.
Now, that's the second part of it, is that they're not your friends and family, and they come to you and they say, look, I want you to do this particular job for me, and can you do it for X amount?
Yeah.
And I will refer you to A, B, C, and D. And the answer on the first end is generally no. And I say no because there is no proof of what your credentials are, what your how you and I are going to relate in this particular job.
Right.
There's none of that. So I am going to charge you rate.
Okay.
Whatever rate that is.
Okay.
And then once we've done that, we are at that rate, we work together, then the price can be negotiated up or down, however way it needs to be.
Sure.
Because there's some sort of equity in that relationship.
Okay. So talk to the ones, and maybe myself included, I haven't decided yet. If we're in that scenario where maybe we pass that job up, can we circle back around?
No.
You can't circle back
Now,
around.
you want it depends on the circumstances, but once you pass a job up, people move on. And if the situation or an environment comes up where you're in the presence of that person again, and let's say you're at a party, you meet them at a party, you ask them, how did that job go? And have a conversation. The whole idea in business is to build a relationship.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't do the job for whatever reason, circumstances that there are. But if you get an opportunity to meet with a person, you don't want to close the door on the relationship.
Yeah.
Because the relationship will in turn bring in, even if you don't work for that person, that person who they may know, or friends of that person, well, they can then refer it. You may have been out of their price range, but not necessarily out of their friend's price range.
Right. So you shouldn't worry as much about, as long as you're maintaining the relationship.
Absolutely.
You shouldn't worry. Being out of their price range isn't going to kill your relationship.
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No, because if it does kill your relationship, you didn't have a relationship.
Sure. Yeah.
And if somebody's just price shopping over quality shopping, over shopping for your product, then there's going to be a problem there.
Okay.
Because I've gone into Tiffany's hoping to buy something for the missus, and I can't afford it. And it doesn't mean that I don't still go back and look at the item that I want. And no, that was not me that broke into Tiffany's the other night. Okay.
Did someone break into Tiffany's?
I was projecting. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Here's the thing I also want to bring about on that is when people come at you in a form of I'm going to here's the exposure you can get. That addressing that question that Mason put forth, you can get this kind of exposure. The answer is yes. Anytime there's an opportunity for you to get in front of a bunch of people, even if it's for free, and it is never a waste of time, because on your resume, when later on, when you would least expect it, have you done any charitable work? Heck, what's that letter F? Yes, I've done this.
That was a reach.
And have you done that sort of thing in order to get into this major gallery? Yes, I've done that. And here is where I've done it. I've done it for this small charitable group. I've done it for this organization and that organization. So I've met those requirements in order to get to the bigger picture.
All right.
Just real quick, would you say that in order to have a successful business or whatever you want to do, relationships are the key?
Relationships are always the key. I think so. Successful business is metered differently from business
absolutely.
to business. Success means to Robert different than it does to me. We have different goals. So success is based around what your goal is for your business. However, I think relationships is a big key component to success of everybody's business, right? I don't think there's a business that is successful that doesn't have good relationships.
Oh, you have to have great relationship.
Right.
Because if you go for the bottom line, the bottom line is the dollar bill. You're gonna make a lot of money, but you're gonna have to end up losing a lot of people at the same time.
Right.
Because you're gonna have to close your business down because you made too much money and not service the people. One of the worst things about any business, corporation or not, is their customer service and how they treat people.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't treat people like people, they are going to go somewhere else.
Absolutely.
That's just the way it works.
Facts. So I think I learned a little bit more. I think I learn a lot every time we have these talks.
Oh,
and
always.
Even about maybe sometimes I should look at things differently when it comes to pricing. But with that being said, everybody's engagement is super important to us. I enjoy the fact that we have questions coming in. I enjoy the fact that we have younger creatives in the house with good, who are listening and being attentive and asking great questions. And so share these experiences with us, with everybody else. Like us, comment, and Robert Rostick.
Yes, sir, Mr. Brian Volaton.
Can you sign us off, please?
Yeah, and I want to make sure that you guys remember to share this, and share this, so that other people can get to know us,
Hashtag
get to
share
know
this.
what it is that we're talking about, and be involved every Tuesday at around this time. So, I'd like for you to know that I'm Robert Rostick at TRG Studio, and
I'm Bevo at Beach and Maine.
And we look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday. And remember to take a moment out of your day every day to be a bit unmanageable.